most confusing business problems are not the ones where everything is broken. If everything is broken, honestly, that's kind of easy. That's kind of clean. You burn it down, you walk away, you start over, you become a dog walker with excellent hydration, a kick-ass step count, and suspiciously good boundaries. Like, it sounds peaceful, right? The confusing ones are the problems where the business is working. People want the thing. Money is coming in. The offer makes sense on paper. The systems are maybe even good enough to keep the machine moving, and still every time you look at it, your body is like, babe, this is not the game I want to be playing. That's what I want to talk about today, because a business can be technically working and still be emotionally expensive. It can produce proof and still pull you out of position. It can make money and still cost you too much to keep carrying. And I'll be completely honest, there's aspects of my business that I've been navigating with this recently. I want you to be able to tell the difference between a business that is hard because it matters and a business that is hard because the design is making you pay for it with resentment, identity drift, and 1,000 tiny invisible moments. All right, here is the thing I have been sitting with recently. Somewhere along the way, I got away from being the kind of coach I wanted to be. And I actually don't even feel like that's fair to say. I feel like I got away from building the kind of business I want to build. And it wasn't dramatic. It wasn't even all at once. It was more like one smart move at a time. You know, somebody wanted a Notion thing, so I made the Notion thing. Somebody wanted a burnout thing, so I made the burnout thing. Somebody wanted a productivity thing, so I made the productivity thing. And none of that was wrong. Like, I love Notion, obviously. I care very deeply about burnout. I love systems. I can talk productivity until someone physically removes me from the room. But here's what I realized. Those are just doors. They are not the whole house. What I want to be known for, the thing that I am building toward, and the things that I believe in so freaking passionately are sustainable performance, better operating conditions, a business that fits the human, freedom, fulfillment, a better way to stay, and being in this work, not just for a couple years until you crash and burn, but for decades. And the doors to get you into my world are Notion, productivity, burnout. You know, whenever I talk about ADHD, organization, systems, but that's what I mean when I say those are doors, they're not the whole house. Because what I do is so much bigger than that. And I think this is where a lot of high achievers get into trouble, because when something works, we think we're supposed to keep doing it. It literally is the thing that got me into the trap of my first career. I was good at science. Science was working, so I just kind of kept going along. And then I ended up in a PhD program, looked around and said, okay, I don't actually want to be here. And the same thing happened with burnout. And don't get me wrong, I'm passionate about burnout prevention, and everything I do really ties back to burnout prevention. But I didn't want to just be the burnout coach, because I fell in love with Notion and building systems. But I almost pivoted too hard away from the burnout coach toward Notion. I literally stopped talking about burnout and burnout prevention altogether, and then became the Notion girl. So I've fallen into exactly that trap. If people buy it, we keep selling it. If people ask for it, we keep making it. If the content performs, we keep talking about it. And that's part of the reason why my YouTube channel has kind of become a Notion YouTube channel, is because that was the content that was working. And to be clear, that is not bad business advice. Demand is data, revenue is data, attention is data. But here's the thing that I believe in so passionately. It's not the whole scoreboard, because the thing people understand the fastest about you can become the thing that your whole business starts orbiting around, even when it's not the full truth, even when it's not the deepest work, even when it is technically working, but your body keeps telling you, hey, this is not the game I came here to play. And that is important. That is what I mean by an emotionally expensive business. It's not necessarily failing. Sometimes it's very specifically succeeding. And this is, I think, what makes it slippery. A failing business is annoying, but at least the problem is obvious. An emotionally expensive business gives you evidence that you should be grateful for. People want this. Money counts. The offer works. The platform is growing. The client process is functional. So then when you feel resentful, or tired, or irritated, or weirdly trapped inside your own good ideas, the high achiever brain immediately turns the blame inward. You tell yourself, I should be grateful. I should stop being dramatic. I should just focus. I should stop overthinking. I should be better at this. And listen, okay? Gratitude is real. Gratitude is powerful. But should is also a data point. Because sometimes that discomfort is not a character flaw. Sometimes it is game film. Sometimes resentment is game film. Sometimes dread is game film. When I say game film, I mean it's data telling you something very important. Sometimes every single good idea feeling like another tab in your nervous system is important data for us to gather. Sometimes the feeling of I want to run away and sell sourdough starter on Facebook Marketplace fantasy is not proof that you are ungrateful. Sometimes it means the current design of your business is asking too much from the human carrying it or is not aligned to the human carrying it. And if you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast, honestly, write this down if you are a business owner. Profit is not the whole scoreboard. Revenue proves demand. It does not automatically prove alignment. It does not prove sustainability. It does not prove that the business can hold the ambition without eating the person building it. That is the distinction. Because I'm not interested in building a business with no weight, with no meaning, with no impact, with no legacy. That is not why I started this and why I went into entrepreneurship in the first place. Hard is not the problem. I love hard things, but I love hard things when they are pointed in the right direction. When it is me playing the game I showed up here to play. I will work my ass off for something I believe in. I will train, I will build, I will test, I will come back after a bad quarter and run the film. I will power through imposter syndrome and uncertainty and all of the shit that goes on in my very, very over-analytical and overthinking high achiever brain. The problem is not hard. The problem is misaligned. The problem is emotionally expensive. The problem is when the business asks me to become someone I do not want to keep becoming in order to keep the thing working. And that is different. So here's what I'm doing right now. I'm picking a part of my business that technically works. And actually, if I'm being completely honest, I'm doing this in multiple parts of my business. But if you're easily overwhelmed and not squirrel-brained like me, maybe just pick one. And I'm basically asking myself, what does this cost me to keep running? Maybe it's an offer, and I'm actually doing that with an offer right now. Maybe it's a platform, and I'm doing that with a platform right now. Maybe it's a client process. Maybe it's a content rhythm. Maybe it's a recurring task or a role people know you for or a thing you keep doing because it makes sense on paper. And then when we come to the part about what does it cost, here's how I want to expand that definition, because cost is not just money. It's not honestly not even just time. I think it's really, really easy to oversimplify it down to money and time. Cost can be energy. Cost can be resentment. Cost can be decision fatigue. It can be context switching. It can be cleanup. It can be body tension. It can be the quick questions that are never actually quick. It can be the quiet moments where your whole entire body goes, ugh. Then, after you've figured out what it's costing you, ask yourself this question. And this question has some teeth. If I were building this from who I am now, would I build it this way? And that question, when I ask that question is rude. That question is useful, but it's rude. Because sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the thing is hard because it matters. Sometimes the offer is stretching you in the right direction. Sometimes the platform is uncomfortable because it is forcing you to grow. Sometimes the system needs refinement, not a funeral. But sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the thing is still working because an older version of you built it well enough to keep it moving. And now the current version of you is paying the bill. And that is not failure. That is information. That is game film. That is data. And here's what I want you to do with this. I do not want you to hear emotionally expensive business and immediately decide that everything needs to be burned down today or this weekend. That is not the play. The play is not panic. The play is diagnosis. Because some parts of the business might need to stay. Some parts of the business might need boundaries. Some parts might need to be moved out of the center. Some parts might need to become a doorway instead of the whole house, which is exactly how I'm realizing I need to approach Notion. Notion is a tool I use in my business, and it's a tool I love, and it's a tool I am obsessed with, and I love helping people with their Notion, but I like helping people with their Notion for a much larger purpose than just Notion. And that is what I realized about why Notion needs to become a doorway, because it's not the whole house. And some parts might need to be required because they did their job and now they're costing more than they are creating. That discernment, that awareness, that's the work. It's not dramatic reinvention. It's not quitting. It's not pretending everything is fine. It's reading the game film, looking at the data. The line I keep coming back to for me personally is this. I do not want out of my business. I was hanging out with my friend on Friday and we were both saying things along the line of, I am absurdly committed. I will do what I need to do to make this thing work. I do not want out of my business. I want a better way to stay. And that feels important. that feels like a better distinction, because I think a lot of people wait until they hate the thing before they give themselves permission to redesign it. They wait until they are burned out. They wait until the resentment is loud enough to feel legitimate. They wait until the good ideas stop coming. They wait until they've spent months telling themselves they should be grateful. But what if we don't wait that long? What if this is working but not like this was enough data? What if you could treat that as a signal instead of the moral failure that we often assign to it? What if your ambition wasn't the problem? What if the conditions your ambition is trying to survive in need to change? So that's your play this week. It's simple. Pick one thing that works, not the broken thing, the working thing. The offer that sells, the platform that gets attention, the client process that technically functions, the content rhythm that keeps going, and the role people understand fastest. And ask yourself, what does this cost me to keep running? And if I were building this from who I am now, would I build it this way again? Do not overcomplicate it. Just tell the truth, because that to me is where the next place starts. So obviously we talked a lot about emotionally expensive businesses in here, which that really to me ties into the mindset pillar of sustainable performance, because sustainable performance isn't just about doing more. It's about building a life and a business where your ambition has conditions that can actually survive in. And if this hits and you want to read this week's Deep Dive Sunday CEO Diaries, where I go even further into this notion, that's what I call the kitchen island version of this conversation. Like you and me sitting on that kitchen island back there and really chatting this out. Okay, it's more personal, it's more behind the scenes, it's more I am in the middle with you. And if you were looking at your business right now, realizing, ooh, I do not need out, but I definitely need a better way to stay. The season pass is where we do that. It's where we read that game film together in an intimate, high touch, powerful, transformative way and redesign the operating model that you've been running underneath. Not because you need saving, you sure as shit don't, but because your business should stop making you pay an emotional surcharge on your own ambition. I'll link the newsletter and that next step below. But with that, if you're on YouTube, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, ask me any follow-up questions or anything like that about anything you weren't sure of in this video. And if you're listening on the podcast, do all the podcast things. Give us a 5-star review. Make sure to subscribe and follow along. And with that, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Stay relentless, all-star, but keep it sustainable. Till next time. Bye.